Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, of course, we're talking about more Battlefield 6 leaks. Who would have thought, there was only about 4 hours of gameplay posted on Reddit in 4K 60 FPS. So much for that NDA. In this video, I'm going to try to dive into some more detailed observations I tried to make just from watching everything that came out. Everything from my opinion on how spotting looks right now, to even some opinions on some of the attachments and how they're currently balanced, because let's just say there's some concerning things. As always, if you do plan on following any new Battlefield stuff, this is the channel for you. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. Thank you to everyone that does that. So the first thing I want to talk about is actually something regarding weapon balance with a specific attachment that I noticed somebody was using in some of these gameplays that were coming out. I cannot show the gameplays, that much is obvious. I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to take my word for my observations and everything. I'm not even gonna link them in the description. But there was an attachment that had to do with ammo in this new Battlefield game, and what it seemed to do is it seemed to increase the headshot multiplier from 1.7, at least on the weapon that he was using, to a whopping 2.1, which is huge for TTK and just the overall gunfight balance experience. And the reason why I think this attachment could be such a large problem is because if you don't pick this attachment, you are basically saying, yes, I don't like doing damage. I don't want to do extra damage when I headshot somebody. No, I actually don't want to kill that guy faster. That's what you're saying. So I think this headshot multiplier ammo attachment is a must-pick attachment for a lot of weapons that will have it. And the reason I think that is if you choose this attachment, it's simply going to reduce the amount of bullets it takes to kill somebody when you're using it, if you land a headshot. This attachment could be the difference between you winning or losing that gunfight, so that's really interesting. Let me know if you also noticed that. And then we're just going to talk about spotting real quick. So from what I can gather about Battlefield 6's spotting, it's incredibly strong. If you watched my class breakdown video a couple days ago, which I'll link in the description, I was expressing the fact that I was concerned about the amount of spotting in Battlefield 6 already without even seeing this new leaked gameplay. But now that I've really paid attention to it a lot, yeah, the spotting in Battlefield 6 does look a little insane right now. The first thing I noticed is there's a comma rows thing at the top of your screen. Similar to PUBG, if you played that game, it shows you, a 360 degree sort of, comma rows that you can provide your teammates with directions and all that sort of stuff. But the spotted people seem to show up on that comma rows at the top of your screen. On top of the fact, they show up on the minimap, and of course the minimap tracks their movement. And the minimap appears to show you if they're above or below you on top of tracking the movement. And then just to round it all out, if you look at somebody, it appears they brought over that function from Battlefield 2042 where there's a health bar above their name and it just shows them very, very clearly. Now, obviously, this is very good for visibility. We don't want another Battlefield 5 situation where you have somebody blending in with the side of a mountain. But we don't want everyone essentially being wall hacked 24/7 either. I think they should try to find a better balance of spotting here. Maybe remove the fact that enemies show up on the comma rows, and dial in that distance where if you aim at somebody, there's a health bar that shows up above their head. Because I believe if they don't dial back spotting, with the recon perks and just the amount of spotting the recon class has available to it, you're never gonna be off the minimap. And don't get me wrong, I am well aware that Battlefield Labs is a work-in-progress, feedback-oriented situation where everything is subject to change. So a lot of the stuff very well might not even make it to the launch of the game, and I think we all need to keep that in mind. But I do have to say, this might be the first time where I'm seeing some generally concerning stuff about the next Battlefield game. But it's good to have a conversation about it, because I want to hear what you think in the comment section. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is this gentleman that leaked this video. He literally recorded himself for 40 minutes testing the destruction inside of Battlefield Labs. Yes, an absolute madman. And in my time watching this madman destroy the entire map, I learned a few things that I'd like to share with you. So number one, I think the destruction in Battlefield 6 is shaping up to be potentially the best Battlefield destruction we've ever seen. And I think it combines the cinematic and really impressive factor of a building falling down and the sides crumbling and rubble falling everywhere, with the balance of there being not too much destruction. And I think that's actually a pretty difficult thing to try to combine, because the Battlefield community, when it comes to destruction, is always very divided on this. Some people want to be able to flatten the map, and other people want there to be very little destruction, very competitive destruction, if you will, very deliberate things that should be knocked down, such as walls or doors. But from what I'm seeing in these leaks, it looks as though they're striking a nice balance. And that's great, because I was slightly concerned based off of their official statement they gave about their destruction direction, where they said they would allow buildings to be quote-unquote apple-cored. And I was concerned about that because I was thinking to myself, okay, well, apple-cored means there aren't going to be any walls left on some of these buildings, so where's the cover? But it seems like it should be just fine as long as there aren't a spammy amount of buildings, like, for instance, on Battlefield 2042's map, Haven. They just kind of randomly placed a bunch of buildings everywhere with no rhyme or reason, and they should definitely avoid that map design philosophy in the next game. One thing I do want to cover briefly is there was a short segment of helicopter gameplay that was leaked, and from what I could gather, they seem like they're taking a more realistic, quote-unquote, direction when it comes to air vehicle design. The guy in the helicopter that was flying it was utterly hopeless, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, the guy was probably playing with his feet, but just judging based off of my experience playing in Battlefield vehicles and looking at how he was turning the helicopter, it seems like the helicopters, or at least the attack helicopters in the next Battlefield game, they seem a bit heavier, like they got some real weight and some real inertia and some real physics going on. So maybe you won't be able to throw them around as much like you can do in Battlefield 2042, especially with the Little Bird. But that was all I could gather from that short segment that I saw. The last few things I'm going to talk about in this video, I'm going to briefly cover the time to kill and the movement. From what I can gather, the time to kill is actually pretty fast. I don't think it's a problem, but with the headshot multiplier attachment that I mentioned earlier, it could potentially become a problem. So, you know, I don't want to say anything. The game hasn't even come out yet. They could change the entire time to kill the game before it comes out, but seems like a couple people are getting absolutely laser beamed, probably sub 200 millisecond time to kill sometimes in the body. That's really fast. So I just don't want there to be some sort of massive time to kill fiasco. I had plenty of that in Battlefield 5, and I would like to avoid that if possible. And when it comes to the movement, from what I have seen, based on the players that are playing the game, it seems like the movement may have been nerfed, particularly the slide feature. Either the people playing the game are not using it correctly, or the slide has been nerfed. It doesn't seem like you slide as far, and it doesn't seem like you have as much control over the slide, like in previous builds of Battlefield Labs, or just in previous leaks. If they are tweaking the movement actively in Battlefield Labs, which I'm sure they are, I just hope they don't go too overboard. I don't want a repeat of Battlefield 1, where they just decide to essentially remove any aggressive movement from the game, and we have a game that is played at a standstill. I know the movement is a very controversial topic when it comes to Battlefield, but it really is one of the main things about the game, you know? It's how you move around the frickin' map. It's pretty important. And I just hope they can strike a nice balance that will satisfy the majority of the player base. To wrap this video up, I do want to say some things about the map design. I'm liking what I'm seeing about the maps, right? I think they look great. One of them is super, super urban, and one of them is really rocky and hilly looking. I think both of these maps look significantly better at first glance than anything we've received in a very, very long time. I think it's better than probably every single Battlefield 5 map as well, and certainly better than every single Battlefield 2042 map that we received. So hopefully when I finally play this game, my first impressions are confirmed, and I'm really happy with the maps, because I have to be honest, haven't been happy with a Battlefield map in quite a long time, and I think a lot of you will reiterate that sentiment. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you want to follow Battlefield 6, this is the channel for you. Going to be streaming every single day at twitch.tv/enders. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the like button, and of course, join the Discord. All links are in the description, and I will see you guys in the next video.